Now, Raheem is not the only one that got a wonderful 100 record today, because Ederson claims his 100th clean sheet for City in only 212 games. Only, obviously, that's a lot of games, but to get 100 clean sheets, absolutely phenomenal from Ederson and phenomenal from Raheem Sterling. I'm still joined in the studio by Darius Vassell and Nadim Anua. Let's just get straight in talking about the winning goal, the penalty there. First of all, Nadim, what did you make of the penalty decision? We know that there was quite a few shouts from the crowd throughout the game. I think I'm counting 6, maybe we were trying to claim.
There were a lot of penalty claims throughout the game, as you say, and I don't necessarily think the referees just crumbled because of that fact. But he thought he saw something. But for me personally, I'm sure lots of people disagree. I didn't think it was that obvious a penalty, if a penalty at all. It felt to me like it hit his side. And then when they were reviewing it, I thought, well, they're probably going to overturn it. But the fact is, I guess they said it was inconclusive, and as a consequence, you can't change the outcome. But, I don't remember being at the stadium and seeing so many penalty claims. But then also, from my perspective, I don't feel many of them were really that strong either. So, it was a weird day, but it was a big moment. The fact it was given, you still need to score it. And there's a sense of nervousness as a City player's taken a penalty for some reason. But Raheem did it, and that's 100 up for him.
Well, for me, when Raheem stepped up there, it was just remembering, and I said to you both, I think it was 2 years ago when we played Wolves, and Raheem missed the penalty, then it got retaken, then he missed it, and then he scored the rebound. So my sense of nervousness came from that. But obviously, he was not nervous in the slightest, Darius, because that was a brilliant penalty.
Yeah, certainly. When you see a player take a penalty like that, a long run up and then just a calm side foot into the goal, sending the keeper the wrong way, then he's obviously in a space that we weren't in, because I wasn't fancying him, to be fair, at first. But well done to him for putting the penalty away. But I think I'm with you, Nate. I don't think it was a penalty. I think it was really harsh. The way the game was, to have something like that separate the two teams is a bit of a shame. But to be fair to City, they still created chances after the penalty, and they were the stronger team for the majority of the game.
I think to talk about that penalty situation in terms of who was going to take it, the two types of players, they're the ones like myself who try and look away when the penalty needs to be taken, and the ones who go and look for the ball.
Yeah.
So, looking at it for Raheem, you look on the field, the players trusted him, he went for it straight away. And when you have somebody that has that level of confidence, you just got to back them, and, he did the job today.
And Darius, 100 Premier League goals for Raheem Sterling. He's 27. Can you just, as a former striker, kind of sum up for us what an amazing achievement that is?
It's an absolutely unbelievable achievement. We were speaking about it before the game, myself and Nadim, about how experienced he is. How many games that he's played. He's been playing football forever, and that can quickly turn into 200. It can quickly turn into 250. He can quickly turn into one of the all-time, highest Premier League scorers. He's at the right club to do it. He's got the right players around him, and at this moment in time, players believe in him as well. So, in terms of the space that he's in, he needs to continue that. Continue his form. People who enjoy watching him play, and I'm sure everybody, especially tonight, after all of the fixtures have sorted themselves out, will be congratulating Sterling for that achievement.
In talking about the fixtures, Naden, we've had the early kick-off today, the 12:30 kick-off. We've won. We know that we were in a similar position last week when Chelsea had lost in the early kick-off, and that gave us the kind of momentum, or perhaps it was just the fans, but we knew going into that we could go top. What does it think it means to the teams that are playing after us, knowing that we're now 4 points clear at the top of the league?
I think you're at that stage of the season where if one of your rivals has the early kick-off, you're very much rooting for them to lose. I think as you're playing at the same time as them, it's not really something you think about because you're more concerned about your game. But that early kick-off in the Premier League, I'll be honest with you, up and down the nation, if you haven't got a game, you're watching it. You've come into your stadium to get ready for a game, or you're at home getting ready for your game. That it might as well be the only channel that's available, at that time, because that's all that we'll be watching. So it applies a bit more pressure to the others because City came out and did it, and now, you have to, knowing you have to match another team's result going into your game. It does apply a bit more pressure, but those sides are up near the top because they can handle that sort of pressure. I think for 2 out of the last 3 seasons, we've seen that. It's been a nip and tuck, especially with Liverpool, where they'd have an early kick-off and City'd have to match it, or vice versa. So I think it makes for a very exciting title race. But yeah, you can't ignore it. I think when you both kick off at 3 o'clock, you find out what it is afterwards. It's like, oh, that's good or that's bad. But when you step out on the field now knowing that they've won, well, you've got to win your games to stay within a point of them.
I think Chelsea and Liverpool both kick off at 3 o'clock today. Forgive me if I'm wrong. Will their players know the result today already, do you think, Darius, or will they be blocking it out?
No, definitely. They definitely know the result. I think Nadim's got it in a nutshell. It won't change how these teams if they end up winning their games, it'll be the same players scoring, it'll be the same sort of strategies. But in terms of psychologically and your motivation and knowing that there's a bit more meaning to the game, you've got to use that as players. Sometimes that is the difference. That makes you run that little bit faster, get to the ball that little bit quicker. So those teams will be aware of the result, and they'll be, fired up to make sure that City don't, get too far away from them over the Christmas period.
Yeah, and to dive into the sort of footballer's life as well. If you've got an away game, you've travelled on the Friday, you get to your hotel, stuff like that. You turn the TV on. Is there a game on? So you always watch the Premier League game on a Friday night, and then on the Saturday, before you watch basically the first half of a game, before you then have to travel to a match. But everybody does it together.
Really?
Like that's the thing. It's just what you do. You'll be having your
That's your preparation.
Yeah, that's it. You watch the game. That's literally what it is. So City winning today, the performance wasn't like a statement performance, but I think for the people who are up near the top, you realise that they're
they can't flip up, can they? Yeah,
they're entering that mode now where City can just win without playing at their absolute best, and that's when they get really dangerous.
I love these little nuggets. I always find them really fascinating. I can see you all now sitting around eating your chicken, watching the half 12
yeah,
game.
Exactly.
Yeah,
half 11 pasta.
Your
Riyad
pasta,
stuff.
yeah. In terms of other incidents in the game, there doesn't feel like too much to talk about. Statistically, City had 72% of the possession, 24 shots to 3. 10 shots on target to Wolves' 2. So stats certainly show that we dominated the game, Dries.
Yeah, certainly dominated the game with those stats. Looking at it as a fan or from where we were watching, it didn't seem like the greatest game, but there were chances there, especially towards the end as the game opened up a little bit more. City will be probably happy that the game's gone now and done, and they can concentrate on other things. Because Wolves did, to be fair to them, shut up shop. Especially after the sending off. That from a strategic point of view, they kept it the same. They didn't do anything too drastically different. They defended pretty well for the majority of the game. But from City's point of view, they need to move on now and forget about this game because it wasn't that great to watch.
It's can I make a point here to validate one of your points by bringing up one of my points?
Go ahead.
So City had, was it 24 shots, 10 on target?
It was, or not on target, I think shots. 24 shots, 10 on target.
Yeah. Do you think you could, what do you reckon the XG would be from that?
Oh.
We need someone to go and find out what the XG would be, because I imagine it's a lot lower than the 10. And as a consequence, it shows sometimes you can have shots, but how many of them are truly dangerous?
How meaningful are they, yeah.
There you go. See? So now there's the argument for why it should be 4 XG, because sometimes it's a greater sort of reveal of how a game went.
Still not feeling it.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah. Still not feeling it, yeah. No.
Man of the match in the stadium was Raheem Sterling. Would you both agree with that, or who would you have given it to?
For me, yeah, it puts the icing on the cake. I think he deserves it. I can't think of anybody else who sticks out. I think the majority of the City players put on a decent enough performance, but the fact that he got to his 100-goal milestone, why not give him the man of the match? There was nobody that bad.
Okay, let me put some positive spin on that. I think they did a good job today collectively. They defended well. They attacked to remain patient. They didn't get too silly with anything. So, yeah, I think Sterling deserves it, because one of the privileges of being a goal scorer is the fact that you get that little boost when it comes down to conversations about man of the match. He scored the winning goal, so as a consequence, he's going to be one of the first names on it. But I need to, I've downplayed it a bit now, but 100 goals for Raheem Sterling in the Premier League is outrageous, because he's not playing as a 9. He's somebody who scores all types of goals, but a lot of those goals end up being in around the 6-yard box and stuff like that. And that's because he shows a great desire to affect the game in a positive manner. And for some people who've been very critical of him in the past, go find some other person at the age of 27 who scored 100 goals in the league, and find somebody who's playing in his position who scored 100 goals in the league. Good luck to you.
I think a big thing about him as well is he puts himself in position to miss, not only score. Yeah. I know that technically that's the same thing, but he's not afraid to miss. No. He will miss chances and take the stick and criticism and then go ahead and the same chance, put it away another day. Whereas coming from the striker, they hide sometimes.
It's this, we're going off a bit here, and I apologise.
Oh no, I enjoy it.
But for me, it seems obvious that somebody can just be in the 6-yard box to score a goal and so on like that. But then you look today, and Traore, for all his assets and stuff like that, every time the ball went wide when he was on the field, he wasn't really in the box.
I was moaning about it all game.
Exactly. He was a passenger, but then you have people who are trying to affect in a huge manner. And for Man City to have had 2 players now who've entered the Premier League 100-goal club, we've come a long way in the space of 10 years, because prior to that, I think the next highest might have been either Sean or like Nicholas Anelka, sitting around 20, 30. So, the club's in a good spot because they've had some very, very significant attackers in their time.
So statistically, he's the 32nd player to join the Premier League's 100 goals club, and he's the 8th youngest to ever do it at 27 years and 3 days. Oh, happy birthday for 3 days ago, Raheem.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't even realise. I just want to highlight Ederson as well. Obviously, we said that he got his 100th clean sheet for City today in 212 games. He didn't have much to do, but then about 5 minutes before the end, he made a really important save, Darius.
And that's the difference, and that's the quality. You have to concentrate for the whole 90 minutes, and sometimes it's harder to do that one save right at the end than it is to make multiple saves throughout the game. With those multiple saves throughout the game, you're alive, you're involved in it, you're warm, you're practicing. Whereas for Ederson, who's playing the majority of the game watching it, I suppose.
For the best season ticket in the whole stadium, it can be at times.
Exactly. For him to come through and make that save and guarantee those points for the team, it's what you purchase your goalkeeper for. It's why you need him there.
And that's the thing. Because he knows his job and he sticks with it. You know, I've seen goalkeepers who might get bored, start running out, doing crazy things and stuff like that. But, you know, credit to him, he's been a spectacular signing for the club. And to average basically a clean sheet every 2 games is absolutely outrageous.
Well, you said from a defender's point of view, it's great to know that you've got strikers on form. Who are on form. From a striker's point of view, when you know you got your goalkeeper there is getting your clean sheets, and you got your defenders there as a unit that are making sure that you're not going to concede a goal, it frees you up so much as a striker to go and do the bits.
Could I say one more thing? So when, from the outside, if you believe that a team is vulnerable in defence, you'll go and attack them in a different manner to a team where you think they won't give you anything. I think years gone by when United say they had 14 games in a row without conceding, or say when Van Dijk first signed for Liverpool and so everyone was saying you can't run past them, they would never get the best efforts of an opposition because they think it would be pointless. And I think before, say, Ruben came in at the start of last season, there was this misconception that City are really open, you can get at them, you score lots of goals, give you lots of chances. But Ederson and other members of that back line have changed that, and as a consequence, people respect them a lot more now, and they end up being more negative in their own approach because they don't want to almost waste energy as much as they would do if against a side who they do fancy, where they know there's a clear and obvious weakness, and having a goalkeeper like Ederson, you know, it very much sets the tone.
There's a really interesting discussion to be had there around sports psychology that perhaps we can have another time. In terms, I just want to quickly throw a quiz question out to you both. 212 appearances for Ederson, 100 clean sheets. How many goals do you think he's conceded in 212 games?
I'm going to say 73.
I was going to say 80 odd.
160, which I still think is amazing.
You say 160?
Yes,
yeah,
160.
Sorry, I went massive there.
Yes.
I was like thinking, I was thinking City winning 8-0 every week. Sorry, that's my bad.
How many has he conceded, you said?
Yes, he's conceded 160 goals, 212 matches, 100 clean sheets.
I missed the mark by a ton there because he's still averaging less than a goal a game.
Yeah, I
which
feel
is
like I was trying to big him up there and it just backfired on me.
So yeah, he's overrated. No, that's absolutely incredible. I think for most teams, if you have a good season in the Premier League, if you average maybe a goal to goal and a half conceded a game, so to have averaged less than a goal conceded per game across over 200 games, it's absolutely outrageous, to say the very least.
Thank you. You got me out of that one there,
yeah,
Nathan. Thank you.
Sorry,
appreciate that. Thank you.
Guys.
Okay, you've been sending in your questions via WhatsApp. Thank you very much. Absolutely loads coming in. I'm going to get through a few now quickly with the gents. Jessica asks, does Vassell think we need a striker at City?
I quietly do. I don't say it too much because City do so well without it, and they've got such great players up there in the final third. But I just think I think of players like Mbappe. I know he's a top player and he could probably play for anyone, but somebody who's just going to play as a number 9, be a threat down the channels and get City out. Goalkeeper Ederson's got one of the longest kicks, you know, in the league. Somebody just that other dimension to City's attack. I do think they miss out sometimes. I know Aguero's gone now, but when Aguero was in his prime, he was one of the players that we used to look at from a coaching perspective at Wolves quite a lot, his movement and things in behind. I think whereas now it's a bit spread across the players in the final third. If they had just one person in there to get them 25, 30 goals a season, they're unstoppable now virtually, but I just think that would be the icing on the cake for me.
Now, this one actually came in before the penalty incidents, which makes it actually an even better question now, Nadem. Andre Small asks, what can be done to improve VAR decisions?
To improve them? So he's saying that VAR decisions are all a disaster then?
I don't know if he's saying that. I'm not going to put words in his mouth.
He's asking for improvement.
We can always improve.
I think it would be good if, say, after a decision's made by the person, by the video assistant referee, there's an explanation that comes with it quickly, especially if you're watching on TV and stuff like that, because there's no reason why you can't hear that. You know, someone say, well, I believe that this is the case, because instead you look at the pictures when you're watching remotely, and you're like, oh, yeah, that just confirms it. So then when the decision is flipped, you're like, well, why is that? And if the issue is the why, because the explanation for the why will tend to come for the people who are doing punditry or something for a game, as opposed to the person who's made the decision themselves. Hey. If I was on the field and a referee gives the decision, he can tell me why he's given the said decision. But when you're from the outside, you don't really know what's going on. And I think as far as, say, for example, with the handball today, if the assistant referee comes out and says, we didn't find enough conclusive evidence to say that we could overturn it, you're like, okay, well, that's fine. That's the decision. But then instead, for Wolves, they'll feel wrong because they're looking at it thinking it is conclusive. But I suppose the downside of it all, football's very subjective.
I'm not going to claim that I watch NFL, but my producer's saying that happens in NFL. I don't know if you watch it.
Yeah, I do watch NFL. Yeah, they do say that. They tell the crowd every decision.
Is that through on the video screen? It's written up on display, or somebody actually speaks it?
No, all the referees, they'll come to a point and look across at the camera and press a little button and they say, right, that was holding on whoever. But the issue and the big difference is that, say, those American sports, they're not as hectic as, say, football is. There are tons of breaks and stuff like that, and that crowd are used to the game stopping to be told what every decision is for. Whereas in this one, the ref can just give a free kick and you can play.
People are still going to argue about decisions as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, there's all that stuff as well.
Fab, I like that. Thank you. Sean's asked Nathan, what was your favourite Man City moment?
I was lucky to have had quite a few. Personally, I can talk about making my debut, scoring my first goal, going on a European run and stuff like this. But one where I felt like exceptionally proud he's in the game that I played in as well, where he scored against United at Old Trafford. City going to Old Trafford was usually just like, well, we're going there to just give United 3 points. And I think that the number was 28 years since the last time we won there. So to be able to walk off that field, to walk off at Old Trafford with Sir Alex Ferguson's Man United, with Ronaldo, Nani's, all those guys in there, and to have had the 3 points.
We had the old-fashioned kits on as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a special game.
It's a very, very important game in the history of that rivalry.
Yeah.
And to have come out on top in that, at Old Trafford, as I say, it was brilliant, because usually when I went to Old Trafford, you hear 70,000 people screaming at the end of the game because they're happy they've won. But as you're walking away and the stadium's empty and you've won it, that was special for sure.
Yeah, it was the
coach journey home's brilliant.
It's sensational. Yeah.
I always like when you say that. I always like to say I was there in the crowd. I was a fan in the crowd. It was the Memorial Day for the Munich air disaster anniversary, which is why they had the classic shirts on.
Right, yeah.
And they did a minute silence before the game, and our fans were incredible.
Yeah, it was really well kept. Wasn't it? It's impeccable,
yes,
wasn't it?
It was. And at the end of the game, the Man United announcer said, "You've been impeccable" to the fans, and that's where a song about being impeccable came from.
Yes.
Darius, what's your favourite Manchester
I was going to say
moment?
exactly the same. Yeah, I was thinking, I wonder what Nate's going to say there, because I knew what mine was. You do that, don't you? You ask yourself the question. It's exactly the same. That game. United put out a strong team that everyone did know that day. We weren't expected to win. It was a big ask for us. I think Sven had not long come in and made some changes to the side. But it all came together, and it came together really well. And for us as a team and as a club, it just showed that we were moving in a direction. And all because of that game. You got this sit here today.
Yes,
I'm not going to agree with that.
Yes.
I'm not going to agree with that.
All because of that game. Right, last question for today. Marcelius, he's just gone in. He's just gone in hard. He wants the big answers. Are City going to win the league this year?
Yes.
You got to say it. How do you say no?
That's what I mean. Like, it's very hard to say no when they've got the team, the management, and the infrastructure that they have. So them being at the top of the league, like, you trust them in that position. Obviously, it doesn't guarantee it, but you trust them from this point. Yeah.
Darius?
Yeah, I think City have been in a similar situation to this before. It looks like they're coming good, learning how to win games which aren't the greatest games like today. That's going to go a long way towards doing it. Do they have a difficult rivalry up there? Of course they do. There's some top teams now up there that are going to fight towards the end, but I always back City. I think they give you that feeling that, they've got the best person in charge, the best players out on the pitch. I think they're equipped to do it this season again.
So Chelsea and Liverpool both kick off in about 13, 14 minutes. Obviously, we'll be keeping an eye on those scores. Are we early? Are we late enough in the season? Not even halfway through yet, so it's a bit ridiculous. But I've got to ask it, Naden. Are we there yet where it is must win for Liverpool and Chelsea?
No, I don't think so. I think given the comebacks that, say, City have had in years gone by, coming back against Liverpool and so on, I don't think so. I think when City played Liverpool in an iconic game, maybe 2018 here, which was like a must-win, I think that was to stop the gap going to like 10 points, and instead it dropped down to like 4 or whatever.
Bernardo Silva masterclass again that day.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So you would never say it's over. I think to expect a team to win every game between now and the end of the year is very, very unlikely. The points will be dropped. But it's just about making sure that, say, a dip in form lasts maybe a week as opposed to a month. Because whoever falls off for a month now, like, you'd say that's probably the end of it.
Now, we've got a very busy week ahead of us. So tomorrow, everybody just relax, have a day off, recharge your batteries, because come Monday, 11 a.m. UK time, it is the draw for the Champions League last 16. I have to say, those draws take forever as well, Jen. So are you going to be tuning in, or are you just going to wait to see the draw?
I'm more a notifications guy. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm sure there's a lot of emotion around it and so on, but yeah, I like to see what's happened at the end of it, and that's a great position to be in. It's a luxury because it's Man City, so whoever they draw, I kind of fancy them anyway. Whether or not we'll be seeing this player or that player. Yeah, I'll still catch it at the end.
And if you've got the Manchester City app, which I'm sure you do, Naden,
yes,
you get an instant notification that comes through.
Yes, obviously.
Of course.
You've got to do the same as well.
Yeah, there you go. Darius, will you be watching the Champions League draw? I mean, it'll take about 3 hours, so you've got to have the day off.
I'll probably get the app, I think. Yeah. I'll get the app.
Oh, Darius has not got the app.
No, I've got the app. I'm going to get hold of the app.
Okay. You can watch the game today if you want to watch it again. The full replay at midnight.
You let him in here without the app?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You don't like dogs. He's not got the app.
No, I really
making me
don't like
work
dogs.
with these days.
I really don't like dogs. I think that's what you've understated there.
So that's Monday. Tuesday, then we have another game. So we play Leeds United here Tuesday night. There's a full fixture list this week for the Premier League. Leeds, we've had some difficult games against them since they came back into the Premier League. What are you expecting Tuesday, Naden?
Expecting another difficult game, except this Leeds side now aren't necessarily as progressive as they were last year. They're kind of worried a little bit, I imagine, about the teams who are just behind them, who were in the bottom three. And I think they've had a couple of injuries as well. I think going into the games this weekend, I think Bamford went off, Phillips went off, and someone else went off with hamstring injuries just in the midweek. So they're under a bit of pressure, but it's a Marcelo Bielsa side, and it's Leeds United. It's a big game anyway. It's going to be a big game played in a different manner to the rest of them because they have a very unique style. And I think looking back to last year, I think Leeds ended up winning here with a man down as well. So it's going to be competitive. And I think if City can match that, then they should be favoured. But it's the Premier League, so nothing's guaranteed.
And a player that I think is fit, or was when I checked the teams before, is Rafinha. A big Rafinha fan. I think we all are. Is he the real danger man for Tuesday, Darius, or is there anyone else in that team that we should be looking to ahead of the game?
I think the sheer energy in that team. So anybody could be a danger man, depending. Yeah. Anybody can be a danger man, depending.
Look, he thinks he's an expert now, doesn't he?
I'm just trying to help him. I'm just trying to help him.
Rafinha, he'll probably be the main man, yeah. He'll probably be the main man out there on the touchline coming in on his left foot. But Leeds now, they're an entity now which Man City will be aware of, their strengths and weaknesses, and they'll be able to probably prepare a little bit better than they have done in the past for them. And I'm sure he'll come up with a strategy which can overcome Leeds. I think he'll get through that, past that hurdle.
So Matchday Live is back on Tuesday. Kelly's back in the studio with Sean Gota and Sean Wright. Phillips, is guaranteed to be a fun show. You know what those two are like. That is going to be a great show. Now, we're going to give you the answer to Cryptic City. Before we do, I've got to apologise, everybody. I may have taken the mick out of Naden Manura at half-time and claimed that he definitely didn't know what the answer was. Turns out Naden actually had a pretty good guess. I don't know what it is, but I think Naden might be right.
Yes, I was right.
We don't know the answer yet.
No, I am right, and I was right straight away.
Right, talk us through what you think it is.
So the trick to this, guys, if you don't know already, is you don't need to get all four of them to figure out who it is. But the second to last is Ray Charles. And that emoji looks like a nah, so that's Rayna. Have we had any famous Rayners play for Manchester City? Possibly. And what's that in that first picture? You say a claw?
It's Inspector Gadget, but it is a claw.
Ah, yeah, claw's a baddie, isn't it?
Claw.
So there's a claw and there's a Rayner. Claudio Rayner. There we go.
So what's the second one then?
So this.
You know the second picture. What does that?
So that.
Theo.
Right, so the actor is called Billy D. Williams. To me, he's Lando from Star Wars. So this is where Naden is right when he says you don't need to know what they all are.
Yeah.
Billy D. There is Claudio
Very
Rayner.
good player, by the way.
Yeah,
very, very good player.
Do you remember how good he was at basketball as well? Remember the hoop at Carrington?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
could do a bit, couldn't he?
He was very good. And I understand why I have to live in America now, because they all can.
Congratulations, Adam. I sincerely apologise for doubting you.
All right. You've learned your lesson. I accept it.
It's going to be unbearable now. Unbearable.
Correct.
Right, before we finish the show today, we've got a final word from our new presenter, Els.
Full time here at the ETIHAD. We won 1-0. I feel like it was a frustrating match in some parts, but 3 points is 3 points, and we got to see Edison get his 100th clean sheet and Raheem Sterling get his 100th Premier League goal. So I'm really happy, even though the weather I think I jinxed it earlier when I said the weather was fine. But it's been all in all a really, really great experience, and I cannot wait for Tuesday evening. I'll be back in City Square on Tuesday evening for City versus Leeds, so I'll see you then.
Thank you so much, Els. I'm also in City Square on Tuesday, so I will see Els there, and no doubt we'll have a good chat and a good catch-up about girl power on Matchday Live, boys. So, thank you very much for joining me today, to Nader Manua, to Darius Vassell. Your first show. Have you enjoyed it, and will you come back?
I have enjoyed it, and I will come back. Just as long as that coffee's warm, I'll be back. I'll be back here.
Phew, there we go. Brilliant. Nice and easy. Not like Nader and his massive rider that he's got these days. He just wants hot coffee. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us today on Matchday Live, on the day that Raheem Sterling scored his 100th goal in the Premier League and Ederson had his 100th clean sheet for City. And currently we are 4 points top of the Premier League. We'll see you on Tuesday.